I'm meteorologist Carly Gomez. It is January 26th, and it has been an entire month now since we've seen dramatic changes to our drought monitor. Just check this out, December 28th. You can see that most of the state here is starting to see that extreme to exceptional drought, as most of it takes up nearly more than 40%, really. As exceptional as 7%, extreme 35%, and of the entire state, 80% there in severe drought. Now, fast forward just 1 month later, and we start seeing massive improvements to the state. The exceptional and extreme drought are completely gone. Meanwhile, severe at 33%. Just a change from last week to this week, we saw a major change in the Central Valley. Just look at these two compared to each other. You can see just last week, we saw this section here of most of the Central Valley of California in that orange shade. Now, that is that severe drought, but you see most of it has been lifted as of this week, dropping by 10%. So now we're seeing those improvements once again as a lot of that water begins to settle. Now, when we talk about drought, we often talk about it adding to our reservoirs as well as groundwater basins, but most of this is dependent really on soil moisture, the monitors in the ground that pick up how much moisture is actually being captured in our soil, which is why we can see this reflected here as much better conditions with our drought monitor to date. All right, let's talk about the snow because this also has a major impact. Snowpack is where our first level of storage begins. It begins as snowpack, then trickles down into our, surface levels, into our reservoirs, and so on into lakes. And then the next storage is groundwater. So as we take a look at the Central Sierra Snow Lab, the snowpack water year snow to date, 356.5 inches. Comparing that to the average water year, which starts October 1st and September 30th, it's 360 inches. We are just there 4 inches off. And in fact, we could see that 4 inches come in by Sunday into Monday. So we're looking at that at least tying, if not beating the average snowpack, I should say, this time of year. But let's talk about the snow water equivalent. How much actual water are we getting from the snowpack? Well, the January 26th snow water is showing 36.8 inches. The peak average, which happens about March 15th, is 35.5. So we're already seeing more than we get in that average point in time for March 15th. After that, everything starts dwindling down to about 34, then 32 as we get closer toward the summer months. Snowpack is pretty much gone at that point as we start seeing the numbers fall down. All of that starting to run into rivers, streams, and then the reservoirs as well as lakes. And we try to hold on to that as much as possible. So we're already looking much better than the peak average for this time of year with the Central Sierra Snow Lab's snow water equivalent. Well, let's talk about the storm systems headed our way. We do have a couple of high pressure systems just out to sea. Now, what we're focused on here is, we have low pressure systems around us, but are they going to impact us? Now, this all depends on the jet stream. As we follow the jet stream up and over, well, this high pressure is impacting the lows from getting closer to us. But because we're starting to see the jet stream starting to make its way toward California, this low pressure system is expected to move in, becoming an inside slider. Yeah, we can talk baseball a little bit, coming into us and bringing us some of that snow for the high Sierra, and as well as some of that rain for the valley spots, but it will be very low and producing that rainfall for us in the valley. Take a look as we see the 500 millibar levels here. You can actually see that inside slider starting to make its way as that trough digs into California. Most of Northern California starts to see some of it. Then the central portion here gets a little bit of snowfall, and we'll continue to see it shifting further to the south and then east as it carries on. Continuing to the east, we'll see some more sunshine behind it as that high pressure also moves in, pushing into early next week. But very cold temperatures will accompany it, as we'll also see temperatures dropping below freezing point for at least the first half of the work week. Let's take a look at the winds. They will show up just before some of that rain and snow arrives. As you look at 3 a.m. on Sunday, winds in the valley pick up to about 10, maybe 15 miles per hour. You see that near Auburn. But it's mostly, again, the Sierra that'll see the biggest effects here of those winds and the wind gusts. Could start topping about 40 mile per hour gusts and a little bit of the stronger winds just offshore as well. Finally, moving to 8 a.m., we start to see the arrival of that snow for the Sierra and maybe a trickling effect to some of the rain also pushing in for areas of the foothills. But most of the valley actually is expected to remain rather dry. In fact, we might even see some sunshine for that day ahead with partly sunny conditions into your Sunday afternoon. Taking a look at the Futurecast radar, a few clouds rolling in on Friday at 1 p.m., but no rain here on Friday, nor are we going to see any rain on Saturday. Mostly clear skies, but we do develop a little bit of fog as temperatures do drop in the early morning hours fog and frost expected, most of it concentrated into the areas of Central Valley, San Joaquin Valley, and southern Sacramento Valley. So as that starts to move out, we get clear skies once again, cold morning start. And this cold morning start's important to note because this will drop snow levels down to even as low as 1,500 feet. Yeah, that's very low snow that we've seen. We haven't actually seen that low snow in some time now. It'll be a dusting rather than an actual accumulating snow. Most of the accumulating snow will be above about 4,500 feet. As you get to 9:30 a.m., you start seeing most of that snow moving in and a lot of it pushing down into the Yosemite area. Again, we'll get a little bit of rain chances here, some drizzle here and there. But again, this isn't a big rain-making event. As we see the system passing through, most of it will continue toward the east and the southeast, but rain factor really, you're seeing some spots really only accumulating maybe, if we're lucky, a tenth of an inch. Otherwise, zero still coming through in Winters, Vacaville, tenth of an inch maybe in Yuba City, where we could see maybe a quarter inch if it comes through those areas of the foothills. Let's talk snow totals. 4 to 6 inches. Not a lot, not a huge event, but hey, that could bring us right at the average snowpack much earlier than anticipated for this water year. Echo looking at 2 to 3 inches. Carson Evans 3 to 4 as well. Sonora 8 to 12 inches of snowfall expected for Lassen. Less than an inch for the north of Reading area along I-5. If you have plans this weekend and you are traveling up toward the Oregon state line up there, you are going to see and encounter a little bit of that snowfall. So please be careful for that. As we take a look at the foothills, temperatures are really remaining in the upper 50s to the low 60s for the weekend. It's the overnight lows that we're really worried about for the valley, but the Bay Area also looking at very similar temperatures, upper 50s, low 60s. But check out valley spots. We will see some of the temperatures right around those mid 30s, Galt and Lodi, Elk Grove as well, about 38 in Sacramento, 35 degrees in Davis. Very chilly morning starts. That'll continue into Saturday, warming up just a bit for Sunday into Monday. But wow, after that, we will see some big changes in the early morning hours. Look at this. As we move into Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, you're looking at freezing point, if not just below freezing point. So very chilly mornings. We do have very slight chances to maybe see an overnight shower quickly as it pushes through, mostly in the morning hours. But otherwise, these are just in here on your 10-day just to let you know there's a slight chance. And I don't want you to get caught off guard there. Moving into next weekend, we do see those low 60s and even upper 30s, low 40s. So remember, the early morning starts, those are going to be the coldest, but we'll continue to see those temperatures right around those 50s and 60s.